what I was saying is basically I've been locked up for like 3. Where do I even begin? I'm convinced that someone's out to get me today because nothing as far as trying to record this 2-year update video is going my way. So imagine you spend an hour, right? You spend an hour recording a video only to complete the recording, get to the edit and realize that not only was the lighting completely off, but it was also out of focus the entire time. And this is why I don't use ring lights and I don't like lights. I feel like artificial lights just dries out my skin and just makes me look very like pale. I just like natural light. I mean, I'm trying to stay positive because it could be worse. I make films, right? And I'm telling myself, imagine if this was the set of like one of your productions and you spend hours shooting something only to get to the edit and realize that everything you filmed, lighting was off and it was out of focus. I feel like I'd crash out and I'd be valid to crash out because what do you mean? Like anyone that records videos or like content knows how much hard work goes into recording anything. The only that, yeah, but you know what? We go again and we try again because if you don't laugh, you actually cry. But I'm gonna watch this back, make sure it's fine, and then we're gonna go again. We're gonna go again. Hey guys, it's your girl Stacey, and we're back with another one. It almost feels it feels unfair to say we're back with another one, given the fact that I've basically been a ghost for the past 2 years. All for good reasons, you know, life gets in the way, things happened. So yeah, no, I thought I'd like kick off my return with like a 2-year update, you know, on like what I've been up to, what's been going on in life, etc, etc, because why not? Why not? But the first one, let me even show you, because the last time I made a video on my channel, right, I had like starter locks. So as you can see, the lock journey is going well. This is where we are at, right? And if you've watched any of like my videos from before, you'd have seen my hair. My hair was like this, starter locks. If locks have taught me anything, it's that patience is literally a virtue, because I don't want to call like any part of my lock journey like the ugly stage, but the journey has journeyed literally. You learn to fall in love with like yourself in its most natural state. I started off with very short hair, so from the very beginning I couldn't actually put my hair into styles. I started with comb coils. It was just a matter of getting a retwist and just leaving it. And I started my locks August 2023, and I went to Barcelona with my best friend literally 2 weeks after starting, no, I think a month after starting my locks. So my locks were starting to bud. I watched the Barcelona vlog back and I'm like, oh my gosh, you actually went on holiday like that. But you know what? No one can tell you anything as long as you have confidence. Yeah, no, confidence goes a long, long, long way. Yeah, no, I love locks. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have a love-hate relationship with my locks. Sometimes I want them smaller because I feel like some of the partings are bigger. I now know a lot more about locks, so I feel like if I could restart them now, I would restart them in a completely different way. The grids would be different. The grid pattern would be different. Yeah, but overall, I absolutely love my hair. The thing that I'm struggling with the most is like, I don't want to say locks aren't versatile because that's a very controversial like take. However, they're not as versatile as having unlocked hair kind of thing. What I was saying is basically I've been locked up for like 3. No, I haven't. No, like not locked up as in like in jail. Like sorry, I've had my locks for like this. So we're in June, right? So what's the date today? June 19th, and I locked my hair. I think 2 August ago, and this year August 2026 will mark 3 years since I've been locked, right? I've had every single hairstyle under the sun, from like weaves to braids to wigs, believe it or not, to low cut. So from 2020 to like 2023, let's say, I had low cut, faded sides. When my hair was shorter, I definitely experimented with my hair a lot. So something I've been struggling, right, when it comes to locks is that I can't be as experimental, not with regards to style, in terms of colour. But when I had shorter hair, my hair was like blonde. I attempted a platinum blonde look, but it didn't really work because I didn't really want to bleach my hair. With locks, right, you can colour your locks, you can bleach your locks. However, the health of my locks are really important to me, and I don't really want to be bleaching my hair. I've only dyed my hair like once or twice, I think, yeah, twice. First time it was like go lighter, so I went like light brown. I loved it, but however, when summer came, sun was kind of like naturally like lightening my hair, so then I dyed it jet black. That was a year ago. Now in the sun, my hair looks like it's color 1B, so I'm just like, Yeah, I'm just not used to not being able to experiment with my hair as much as I used to when I had hair that was loose or hair that was short. So it's definitely taking some getting used to, and sometimes I just feel like stifled and restricted by my hair. So as much as I'm loving my locks right now, who knows, one day I might comb them out and decide to rock braids, or I might cut them off and store them away if I ever decide to reattach them and just rock short hair. I don't know, but for me, I don't really tie too much importance to hair, because hair for me is just hair. Too deep, hair is like what? Dead skin cells. Hair grows, it regrows. It's not that deep for me anyways. So definitely in the mindset whereby if I ever get to a point where I feel too restricted, I will do what I have to do, kind of thing. Do you get what I'm saying? In this sports world, because climate change and global warming is just doing a number on this earth, because last week it was cold and it was raining and I was out in a puffer. Come this week, it is hot, so hot. Yes, it's great, but it's a bit it's alarming as well how fickle our weather is becoming. 1 minute it's hot and it's cold. Like, it could snow in the next half hour in the UK, and I don't think we'd even bat an eyelid because it'd be so normal. Anyways, back to the main topic. It's been 2 years, either 2 years on the mark, or just over 2 years, or just under 2 years since I recorded a video on this channel. I'm one person that I listen to myself. If I feel called to do something else, then I'm gonna do that. However, right now, I feel called to like e-journaling again. I tried journaling for some time, it really helped. But now, I kind of like spent the last couple of days like watching some of my old like videos, and I just felt a sense of calmness, like wow, like it was just like rereading like old diary reviews that you'd found. That's how it felt to me, kind of thing. So I'm like, you know what, like, I really want to go back to like e-journaling, and because I really enjoyed it. It helped my mental health. It was just something that I was giving back to myself, kind of thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, basically 2-year update. So obviously my hair is longer now. I now have confirmation that I am a neurodivergent girly, so we'll get into that. But let me just test it out to see, because God forbid I go through the same problem that I went through before. No. Back to what I was saying. I basically now have my autism diagnosis after 2.5 years of waiting, as per the NHS waiting time. So even before I got diagnosed, right, I always kind of had like an inkling that I'm like neurodivergent. You don't have to be a medical professional to know these things a lot of the time. I know myself, I know my struggles, I know what I find hard, I know some of the challenges I've had to go through in school, in education, everyday life, kind of thing. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, autism and neurodivergence has always been there. Let's start with that. People love to say that, oh, like everyone's autistic now. No. It might seem like more and more people are coming forward and saying, oh, I am autistic, because more and more people, especially adults, are getting diagnosed. Autism and like neurodivergence has always been a thing. It's just that now we know more about it. Now there's more research about it. Do you get what I'm saying? And now the access is like widening. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I just want to start off there, because that really bugs me when people say, oh, everyone's autistic. Okay, I mean, even if that's the case, what's the problem? Before I go into my journey and how like that kind of went about, no one really talks about like the grief that comes from finally receiving your like diagnosis, especially as an adult. I'm grieving a younger me who went through the like education system. I mean, I won't lie, I did pretty well in school. I got like really good grades. Maths was probably my like weakest subjects in school, but overall in school I was quite academic. Always been a creative, but I was also quite academic as well. However, there were certain areas whereby now that I look back, if it had been picked up on earlier, I would have definitely done even better, especially in like university. That's where I struggled the most, especially like socially. And I went to university in Birmingham, so I was already isolated from my family, isolated from a lot of my friends that I grew up with, especially my best friend. Had I received my diagnosis years before that, I would have definitely done better at university, because I would have gotten the support, gotten extra support, extra time in exams and assessments, etc. I remember like I would struggle a lot with assessments, because it would always feel like I never quite had enough time, especially with my like dissertation, whereby I felt like I can do it, I know what I'm doing, I just need a bit more time. Obviously, right, yes, you can ask for extensions, but sometimes it's got to be like extenuating circumstances. I think I got 2 extensions throughout my whole 3 years. Those were basically as a result of having like doctor's notes, because literally my mental health was literally crumbling. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that I finally got my diagnosis. However, getting it so late in life has me also like grieving an old part of myself as well, because I'm 29. When I had the assessment, I was 28 because I had the assessment December 2025 and we're in June 2026. And then I had my outcome appointment in January 2026 of this year. Getting a diagnosis, I mean, some might say it doesn't matter about like when you get diagnosed. When you finally get your diagnosis, it reaffirms a lot of the feelings and thoughts that you had. After that, you basically start grieving the prior years of your life. At least that's the experience for me anyways. You're grieving the time kind of lost. You just, I don't know, like I don't know how to, I feel like I haven't fully processed. Again, I only actually fully looked through my report 2 months ago, so what, April. I feel like I haven't fully processed, which is why I feel like I can't quite put into words how exactly I feel and what exactly I mean by like grief and grieving the lost years. But maybe at some point as I continue to process it, it will make sense. I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions because yes, I can say everyone knows about autism. Not everyone does. So Google definition of autism. So autism, officially called autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a lifelong developmental neurodevelopment. Okay, I can say developmental. Oh my god. Why? I'm sorry, I can't. Neurodevelopmental, bear with me, condition. It describes a different, no, this definition is so crap. Where's the one I found earlier on? Because this one ain't. Now let's go on to the nhs.uk. At least they're doing something right. What is autism? Autism is a difference in how your brain develops that affects how you see and experience the world. It's often called a type of neurodivergence. So being autistic can basically affect like how you communicate with people and understand them and how people understand you. It can also affect how you think, learn and pay attention to things and how you respond to light, sounds, smells, tastes and touch. Though some autistic people have a learning disability, some have average intelligence and some even have above average intelligence. Common characteristic of like quite a few autistic people is like impeccable like memory. Came across this like boy, this like little boy on TikTok. His mum manages his account. He can literally recall every single train station on the London Underground or something like that. That is amazing. And that's why I feel like, yeah, like neurodivergent people, like we see the world in a very different way. I don't even want to say that we think outside the box. I don't even think we see the box. Our minds just think, our brains are just different. And that's why I feel like a lot of creatives are neurodivergent. I'm not saying that only neurodivergent people are creatives, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are a lot of creatives that are neurotypical, but there are a lot of creatives that are like neurodivergent. And it makes sense. We perceive the world in a different way. And creatives, in essence, see the world in a very different way. There's beauty in it. There is beauty in it. So this was my journey into like even getting a referral in the first place. So cool. I have like a few like neurodivergent friends. My girlfriend is neurodivergent. She, obviously, like every now and again we'll just be playing, like bantering, we'll just be talking. And she's like, you're so autistic. Or you're so this or you're so that. And I didn't take offense at all because it's like, I've always kind of like thought, so like maybe I'm autistic because I've like read up on the like key characteristics and they include stuff like communication and social interaction. So people with autism may like process social cues like differently or like find socializing tiring. That is me. Anytime I go to a gathering or a party or anywhere where it's like heavily populated, afterwards I need to literally isolate to recharge. That's the way I recharge. Turn taking a conversation. Sometimes I might unintentionally speak over someone because I struggle to know when it's my turn kind of thing, and I've always felt like I'm kind of socially awkward. Yes, growing up I had a lot of friends, but like once I left primary school and I went to secondary school and it was a big environment of new people, that's when I started to notice things that for me, familiarity is something that I find like comfort in. I don't like last minute changes. I like my routines. Changing plans at the last minute really throws me off. I could be meeting up with someone at 3. I'm all like dressed and ready to go around 1, and then they message me and say, oh, can we meet up like later? You've thrown off my whole day. Sensory as well. People with autism often have like sensory difficulties. For example, with me, certain textures of food are very uncomfortable for me. So like, for example, sticky rice or even soft rice. I can't have soft rice. Soft rice physically makes me gag. I physically feel sick and I feel discomfort. So my rice has to be like almost kind of hard. My sister playfully says, "Are you eating rice or are you eating rocks?" I don't know. I just like my rice hard. Scent, like touch, anything sticky, and to childhood, anything sticky on my hands, I literally feel like my body's under attack from my head to my toes. I have to wash my hands straight away. I don't like anything sticky on my hands. I don't like the way it feels. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. Sounds. I am very hypersensitive to sounds. I think I pick up on sounds that the average person around me who, let's say, is neurotypical, and even some of my like neurodivergent friends don't pick up on. For example, clocks. I hate the sounds of clocks, particularly clocks that tick. Christmas last year, I gifted my mum a new clock for our kitchen because our old kitchen clock ticks, and I would often work in my kitchen. I hate the sound of ticking clocks. So the new clock I gave my mum, it glides, and I love it. I feel like gliding clocks are so neurodivergent friendly because, again, gliding clocks you can't hear. Cool. Basically, yeah, these are just like things that I picked up on and I made note of that were the core characteristics of autism that resonated with me, let's say. So cool. I made an appointment with my GP and I raised my concerns. I raised my concerns on the basis of I feel like I am autistic, so I would love to be referred for an autism assessment. Obviously, you know how GPs can be. As GPs kind of like downplay anyone and everyone, but however, we can't also negate the fact that there is medical racism and medical bias against certain groups of people in society. It's just a fact. There's research and findings to back that up. Anyways, yeah. Contacted my GP and he obviously asked me a few questions. Why do you feel that is? What makes you think you're autistic? Why do you feel you would benefit from being referred and assessed? What would that do for you at this stage in your life? Obviously, you're no longer in mainstream education. So, and I get what he was saying. Obviously, if I was in education, an official formal diagnosis would mean that I would get certain plans and measures and support in place. However, me not being in mainstream education doesn't mean that I don't also still need support. Cool. I said it's affecting my work life, which it was, and which it kind of is, but I'm fortunate enough that now with this diagnosis and this new understanding of myself, I've been able to tell my employer and they've been able to put in place measures to make my work life a bit easier. And I just feel like supported, you know, stuff like extra breaks. Whenever I feel overwhelmed, it just makes life easier. In NHS, there's support that you can get. Yeah, so it's affecting my romantic life, platonic life, family, and I just want to get assessed. So obviously, you know, Academy, you know how they do. They'll downplay it, they'll dismiss whatever. He was like, that sounds a lot like it could be your depression and anxiety. I thought, okay, cool. I still want to do the questionnaire anyways. He reluctantly printed off the questionnaire for me, brought the questionnaire home. The questionnaire basically kind of asks you questions like, I am fascinated by other cultures. You will put an X on definitely agree, slightly disagree, slightly agree, or definitely disagree. Obviously, I worked my way through the questionnaire. Towards the end of the questionnaire, there's a section where it asks you to ask someone who knows you quite well to complete that section. I can't believe if I asked my girlfriend or my sister. I think I asked my sister because my girlfriend at the time, she had other like commitments and I needed to hand in the questionnaire pretty quickly. She did it and I took it back to the GP. Weeks passed, months passed, I hadn't really heard back to say anything about, had the referral taken place, what had happened, blah, blah, blah. I reached out again to make an appointment with that same GP, and I'm convinced that GP in particular, lovely guy, I think he's on the spectrum as well, you know, because maybe more so like ADHD, because you know when you just, man, I know my people, I'm like, yeah, you definitely, you Neurospicy as well, because it's giving, I'm not saying like every person with ADHD is like this, because I don't like to like generalize, but he's just very much, not disorganized, but all over the place, but he still gets the job done. Amazing guy, by the way. Just jarring, because I feel like you have to argue with him a bit. You have to over advocate for yourself, is what it is. Had an appointment with him and he was like, oh, well, we can't really find the questionnaire because when you handed it in, right, person on the admin team that was supposed to scan it either scanned it and it got lost, or they never filed the electronic copy properly. I was livid. I was like, you know what, it is what it is. I can't be bothered to do it again. It was like, you might as well do it again since you were so like, adamant about getting referred in the first place. I thought, cool. I took the questionnaire again. I was a bit reluctant because I was like, you know what, I spent so much time, and the questionnaire is massive. It's a booklet, you know. I spent so long on it. I even remember what I put the first time, or my sister even remember what she put the first time. Did it again, handed it in, cool. I made sure that he told me the date he referred me and he CC'd me into that email. I did not rest. I would call almost every day, ask, have you referred me? Have you referred me? Months passed, I never heard anything. I'm like, this sounds like something I've felt before. So I got in touch with the Adult Autism Diagnostic Center myself. They assured me that they have received my referral, but it'll be a 2.5-year wait. I'm like, cool. Time passed, a year passed, didn't hear anything back. I'd email, they wouldn't respond to me. Thankfully enough, I have a friend, a very good friend of mine who works for the NHS. So I said to her, do you mind if you send them an email on my behalf? I want to see if getting an email from another NHS email would carry weight. It carried weight, because did they not respond to her email in less than an hour saying, oh, she's almost at the top of the queue, but once she's at the top, we'll be in touch to arrange an appointment for her. I thought, bruh. So it's my common Gmail email that you didn't want to respond to, but someone from the NHS emails you and you're fast to reply. So randomly, I was coming back from the roundhouse after attending like an amazing creative workshop. I don't really check my Hotmail email, it's spam, and I've had it since I was like 11, so you can. And when you're young, you sign up to so much stuff and you don't realize that they're like farming your like data, so you get so much spam. Randomly was scrolling through and I'm like, wait, hold on, who's this? I open it, it's them. They were emailing me to tell me about an appointment that they would like to book for me if I can confirm. And the painful part about it is that I saw that particular email 4 days after they had actually sent it. I was panicking. I was like, God, imagine if I've missed the one opportunity for me to get assessed. So I quickly emailed back saying, please, can you now date my communications? I no longer use my Hotmail, I use my Gmail. Please, can you contact me via my Gmail? They said, cool, no problem. Don't worry, you applying late hasn't spoiled your chances, blah blah blah. I'm grateful that, like, I'm not gonna lie, once I made the appointment, right, they were very, very good with like constantly reminding you, oh, your appointment isn't a month, your appointment is in 2 weeks, your appointment is in a week. A day before, I even got a call from a member of their like reception team to say, oh, just to remind you, have your autism assessment at this time, which I'm grateful for, because obviously it just goes to show how in tune they are with like neurodiversity. People often need reminders, and the fact that they put that into practice as well, which I really appreciated that, because it was nice to be like reminded. So obviously I got to the assessment. I had 2 psychiatrists. One was the lead one, that was the one doing most of the talking. The other one was like, she was like chipping in here and there, but she was mostly observing and just taking notes. I sat down, and one of the first things I did was I looked at the clock that was to the right of the room, and I was like, I don't like clocks. But that was after they basically asked me, so like, why are you here, kind of thing. But they didn't ask like that. They basically asked that, oh, what makes you think that, you know, you are autistic? I basically took like 3 A4 pages of why I believe and the core characteristics of autism that I believe I have, and they were just taking notes as I was talking. Randomly, I basically was like, I don't like clocks. Sound of ticking and noise feels like a metal spoon is like literally scooping my brain out. They basically said to me that they can be happy to take out the batteries out of the clock, and I was so grateful. So they did that, and then we carried on. The assessment lasted for 2 hours, 10 to 15 minute break in between. The assessment was exhausting, emotionally, mentally. First half is basically talking about your childhood, the good, the bad, traumatic experiences. It's just a lot. And I think there was a moment where I zoned out. I didn't really realize I zoned out until, like, you know, when you're just in your, I wasn't even in my thought. I don't even know where I went to. I mean, now I know that it's a form of autistic shutdown or something. It's not a meltdown, it's a shutdown. It's basically like your brain's way of dealing with stress when it's overwhelmed and overstimulated. It's your brain's way of shutting down temporarily to sort of like conserve energy, kind of thing, and to like block. It's basically like a defense mechanism, you know, your brain shutting down because it's reaching burnout. I just remember that lead psychiatrist was calling my name. I think she called my name 3 times, and it was the 3rd time that I basically snapped out of it, and I felt so embarrassed. Well, I had done something wrong. Then upon looking online, I realized that things like that make up diagnostic data. Like, you wanna unmask during your assessment, because the whole point of it is for them to actually see you in your most authentic self. Google says zoning out during an autism assessment is actually incredibly common, and it can actually be a key piece of diagnostic data in itself. It's basically a sign, it's frequently a sign of autistic shutdown, which is your nervous system's response to like sensory or like social overwhelm or social and emotional fatigue, which like first part of my assessment was basically me talking about things that I've only really spoken to my therapist about, basically also known as monotropism. For those, I don't even know how long it lasted for. I just remember that when I finally snapped back out of it, I felt like my battery had like recharged a little bit. After the break, right, I had to do a range of exercises, and one of the ones that really stood out to me was like frog book test. You basically have this picture book, right? No words. The clinician will basically say to you, oh, I want you to basically go through the pages and narrate the story, bearing in mind there are no words. I opened the book and I'm like, but there's no words. And then she was like, I know, try your best. So I'm telling the story, but when I got to the end I realized that I said to her, it doesn't make sense. And then she kind of was like, basically, right, from Google and from TikTok, because other people, I mean, not everyone who has an autism assessment has the frog book test. There's other books that they use. Like, imagine, first thing I thought, like, when I opened the first page was, whoever designed this book must have been high, because it's so trippy. You have frogs on lily pads flying through the sky. The frog book refers to the wordless picture book Tuesday by David Wisner, which is famously used as a diagnostic tool in the autism diagnostic observation schedule. So basically, like, individuals are basically asked to look at the pictures and tell a story, allows clinicians to observe how they communicate and structure narratives. Now, I tell stories, but it made me question my ability to tell stories. Now, I feel like I tell stories quite well. I mean, I won an award for my film, and my film that I dropped last year was nominated for an award. So I was like, the intention of the exercise is not really to find the correct answer. It's basically to observe how you process the open-ended pictures. And for me, open-endedness, even with words in everyday life, doesn't work for me. Vagueness, I can't comprehend vagueness, especially if you're giving me instructions. If you're giving me instructions, I need it to be direct. When it's open-ended, it flies over my head. But anyways, yeah. Narrative coherence. Assessors basically observe if the individual can extract the main plot and summarize it in a logical way, rather than just listing fragmented actions. I know for a fact I did not piece together any story, because I was like, I even said to her, what's the story? I look back on it, all I was doing was basically describing what I could see on the pages. If you had the frog book test in your autism assessment, I'm really curious to hear like how you found it. You had an old lady watching TV, and then you had all the frogs flying across her windows, and they all had expressions on their faces, which I didn't even clock the expressions on their faces. I only realised that when I went onto the internet and looked and searched it up straight after my assessment. I was thinking, what the hell did I just look through? Oh my gosh, I remembered. So the last page, right, is basically like pigs flying. So the clinician took over and she basically said, when pigs fly, or something like that. And I looked at her like, but pigs wouldn't fly. So when I gave her the look here, she just started writing in her clipboard, and I was thinking, what did you write now? I definitely failed the test. I can think hypothetically, but pigs flying for me is not something that would happen. So like, I went away. I'm not gonna lie, I was very nervous, because I was like, I said to my girlfriend, like, what if I'm not autistic? What if, when you have your assessment, right, I think 5 or 6 like different psychiatrists and clinicians come together and like look through the findings and basically come together with like a final report kind of thing. I'm not gonna lie, throughout the whole Christmas period of 2025, my heart was in my mouth, because I was like, what if I'm not autistic? Then how do I explain how I feel and the things I've noticed about myself? But then my girlfriend was like, look, if the findings come back and you're not autistic, at least you know for sure. You might not be autistic, you might be something else. She's like, regardless, right, it doesn't invalidate how you feel and your experiences, which was comforting as well, so I appreciated her for that. January came, right, and I went in. When I got to the door, one of the clinicians, the lead one, was basically like, oh, we've left the clock outside the room because we noticed that it caused you a lot of discomfort and distress the last time you came to see us. And I really appreciated that, because it's the little details like that and adjustments like that that actually make you feel heard and seen. When I sat down, they were basically like, basically meet the criteria for an ASD diagnosis. Not gonna lie, every bit of tension I carried throughout the years of my life just literally just eased for that period of time. I don't know if that makes sense. And I was just like, wow, I'm not crazy. I did right by myself, advocating for myself, pushing my GP to put in that referral. It's not grief, the struggles that I had growing up, all the struggles that I had in school. I read up, I've been like reading up, and I'm still unpacking, and I'm still like processing, and I'm still going through my report. I basically read up that like girls often get misdiagnosed with the likes of depression and anxiety. Not saying that you can't also have depression and anxiety too, because girls are more likely to mask than boys. Yeah, that is basically how I went about eventually getting my autism diagnosis at the age of 28, and I'm now 29. Another major update to round off this video is that I am in production for my next project, queer coming of age film called Chasing Bliss. My most ambitious and lengthiest project to date. No other project, and I've made quite a few projects, no other project has stretched me financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically as much as this project has. It'll all be worth it in the end. I'm working with an amazing bunch of people, co-producing it with my best friend Andrea. The actors were amazing, the script was amazing, if I do say so myself, and it's been a long time coming. You know, like we had our first table read in 2024 and we're in 2026, and we started filming last year, 2025. Definitely about time that I make a queer project, because I've told a lot of stories yet, but I'm yet to tell a story that pays homage to my queer self, especially a younger queer me. So let's go to IMDb. Chasing Bliss is a queer coming of age drama about the importance of chasing one's own bliss in an environment that has its own rules and limitations. So it will do something great in its own little way. Definitely a project that's not for everyone because of the nature, and because it's a queer coming of age project. A lot of people will close their hearts and close their minds and their eyes to it without giving it a chance. You know what, it's fine. It's definitely a project that will have a niche audience. You can definitely expect to see more of me on this channel. I'm going away with my girlfriend. We're going to Morocco next month, so I'm hoping to vlog that trip as well. So I have so much to talk about, so definitely will be journaling some more, and hopefully I actually stick to it this time. I think I will in my own way. If you got this far, thank you so much, because I feel like this video is very chaotic and nothing is scripted, everything is raw, and this is me, take it or leave it. So thank you so much for watching. Yeah, feel free to like, feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe if you're new here, feel free to pass it on to anyone who, you know, vibes with like chilled vibes kind of thing, because that's just me. Like, my channel is very chilled, very calm, it's very relaxing, and what you see is what you get. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Peace and wish me luck. Wish me luck. This one better be in focus.